Welcome back to Actors Are Born, the podcast that explores the lives and careers of the giants of acting. Today, we shine a spotlight on a true volcano of talent, a master of the method whose intensity set the screen on fire for decades. The great, inimitable Rod Steiger.
Rodney Steven Steiger, born in 1925 in West Hampton, New York, was not your classic Hollywood star. He didn't have the charm of a Cary Grant or the rebellious good looks of a James Dean. He had something rarer and more powerful, an absolute capacity for transformation. A student of the Actors Studio, alongside Marlon Brando and Montgomery Clift, for Steiger, acting wasn't pretending, it was being. He would immerse himself in his characters to the point of disappearing, bringing a brutal honesty and an at times frightening emotionality to the screen. The world took notice of him in 1954 with Elia Kazan's On the Waterfront.
In a harbor controlled by a corrupt union, former boxer Terry Malloy, a towering Marlon Brando, is tormented by his conscience. But it's the confrontation with his brother Charlie, played by Steiger, that defines the tragic heart of the film. Charlie is a key figure in the union, forced to choose between loyalty to his boss and his love for his brother. Rod Steiger proves his greatness in the taxi scene between the two brothers, which is now cinema history. Steiger's gaze, filled with love, regret, and desperation, is a masterpiece of nonverbal acting that earned him his first, very well-deserved, Oscar nomination.
10 years later, in 1964, Steiger delivered one of the bravest and most difficult performances of his career in Sidney Lumet's The Pawnbroker. Steiger is Saul Nazerman, a Jewish Holocaust survivor who runs a pawn shop in Harlem. He is a hollowed-out man, anesthetized by a pain too great to process, whose memories of the Holocaust resurface as sudden, brutal flashbacks. It's an almost silent performance, played out entirely in the silences, the gazes lost in the void, and a rigidity that hides an unimaginable trauma. Steiger shows us a shattered soul who has sealed off every emotion to keep from going insane. It was a monumental performance that earned him his second nomination.
But it was in 1967 that his ultimate triumph arrived with Norman Jewison's In the Heat of the Night. In a suffocating Mississippi town steeped in racism, a murder is committed. The local police chief, Bill Gillespie, Steiger, finds himself forced to collaborate with a black detective from Philadelphia, Virgil Tibbs, the legendary Sidney Poitier, who was just passing through. Steiger won the Oscar by creating an unforgettable character. His Gillespie, perpetually chewing gum, is arrogant, ignorant, but also insecure and, deep down, lonely. Steiger doesn't create a simple villain, but a complex man, full of prejudice, whose mask of toughness slowly crumbles in the face of Tibbs's intelligence and dignity. Their relationship, which evolves from contempt to a reluctant, quiet respect, is the engine of the film.
Steiger's greatness, however, also lies in his incredible versatility. We find him as the slimy and opportunistic Komarovsky in Dr. Zhivago, as the unforgettable Mexican bandit Juan Miranda in Sergio Leone's Duck You Sucker, where he alternates between comedy and drama with disarming naturalness, and even as a tormented Napoleon Bonaparte in Waterloo. But this incredible on-screen intensity had a source, often rooted in an equally complex and tormented private life. Steiger married 5 times, his most famous union being with the actress Claire Bloom. The real battle of his life, however, was against a severe, chronic depression, a struggle that kept him away from the screen for several years, and which, by his own account, fueled the depth and pain he was able to bring to the screen. He wasn't just an actor using the method, he was a man who lived his emotions to the fullest, for better or for worse, pouring all of this incandescent magma into his characters.
Rod Steiger was not a cover star. He was a craftsman of acting, a man who dug deep inside himself to find the most profound and often uncomfortable truth of his characters. He taught us that an actor doesn't have to be likable, but they must be truthful. And on screen, he was more truthful than anyone. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Actors Are Born for another journey into the heart of the seventh art.